what's up, y'all? My name is Conan Milne. If you don't know, I'm a hip-hop journalist. In my past life, wrote for a bunch of the premier hip-hop magazines, The Source, Herb, Double XL, many others. Co-wrote Snoop Dogg's cookbook, From Crook to Cook, 1.5 million and counting. Go get that if you don't already have it. And today, I'm sitting here with my homie, my friend, someone who's been buzzing, my boy, GhostPopularP. What up, Ghost?
What up, man?
How you feeling,
doing?
bro?
Talk that talk, baby. You know what I'm saying? Credit lasts longer than check. What's your resume look like?
Hey, man, we got to remind him. We got to let him know.
Hey, pop out.
Yeah, but we got a lot to talk about ourselves, man. Now, you and I have known each other for a long time. Worked
Right.
together in many capacities, always involved in music.
Yes, sir.
We've worked on the business, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some point.
Come on.
But, we've also, we connect on the creative level. And as long as I've known you, you've been pushing your pen. The popular P, and the P might stand for pen. It stands for a few different things.
Yes,
but,
it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, but recently, man, you've been having some real breakout success.
Right.
A lot of online conversation, a lot of virality as we talk about it.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to get into that, man, and let's kick it off. Like, for those that don't know, how long have you been making music for? Tell us a little bit about the backstory.
Oh, man. Shoot, I've been making music for at least 15 years, 20 years, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, making a lot of music. I started in probably junior high school, writing my first rhyme. And then I had a homie who he would quote my rhymes before I even remembered them. And, so I kind of got into it, and people were like, hey, man, you kind of, really good at this. Leaving voicemail raps on my girlfriend's, voicemail or whatnot. So, yeah, I just kept pushing it. And, here we are.
Yeah, man. And as I mentioned, we've worked together for years in the industry. We've worked with a lot of big names.
Right.
Snoop Dogg,
Yes,
we'll
sir.
get to.
Yes, sir.
Busta Rhymes.
Yes, sir.
Several others.
Yes, sir.
But as I mentioned, there's been some recent conversation, at least an online speculation. The algorithm has been rhythming.
Hey.
You put out a track you put out a freestyle, I should say,
Yes, sir.
called Rare Not Regular.
Man.
And this thing went really crazy. I think last time you and I discussed, it was at approaching 1 million impressions, and maybe over 1 million impressions now. You could probably tell me.
Yes, sir.
But I'd love to talk a little bit about how that came together. What was the initial concept for that, first and foremost?
Well, the initial concept for Rare Not Regular was basically a conversation that happened in a chat group, and actually a conversation after that chat group with Blake Smith. You kind of remember him. And, I just kind of popped it out while we were conversing over another song. And I said, man, we rare not regular. Like, we should just, just remember that. He was like, rare not regular. I like that. I said, yeah, that's what we are. And so, you know me, purposely intent. When I walk or I talk, the way I do it, it's rare. It's not regular. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, just try to embody that. You know what I mean? And that's how that freestyle kind of came about. And somebody told me, like, hey, you know what? At your age, I don't know, what I'm saying, if it's... And I said, what? Oh, okay. I said, if you thinking like that, everybody else must think like that. So I guess I got to pop out and show you.
And you did.
Yeah.
Now, you've recorded... As I said, as someone who knows you as a friend, I know that you've recorded, several of these videos where you work in your home studio. You're always being productive.
Right.
But there was something about this one that really quickly caught fire. And I'm curious, like, when did you notice that? When did you see that? Oh, hold on a second. This is taking on a life of its own.
Yeah, man. So, it's energy, right? As we speak about analytics and things of that nature, when I've worked on different sides of the equation. So I study analytics. This, when I woke up, I'm like, I think I did it like 11:30 on May 20th or something like that. I woke up, man, that shit was at like 2,300 views. I don't know, what the hell, I get to the office, and by that time I get to the office, it's about at 5,300. I said, oh, this is different. And I showed one of my, coworkers, colleagues, and I was like, look at this, it's actually going up. So what, And then somebody else walks in, and we're talking about another song, or we're talking about something else, and they said, oh, what you talking about, that video? And I said, oh yeah, this is going. This is kind of getting a little, traction. And that was at 5,300. Now we're talking about, over 1 million, like 950, 980K.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Now, that was your initial reaction. But there were other things that took this thing even further, obviously. We know it spread in a
Yeah.
very wild way.
Yes, sir.
And of course, one notable person who really showed some support and really, I think, helped probably put things over the top.
Yeah.
Of course, a mutual touchstone of both of ours,
Yeah.
the big boss dog,
Yes, sir.
Snoop.
Yes, sir. Shout out.
Snoop posted it, and as you kind of reminded me,
Yeah.
he didn't just post this on his IG story, he posted this on his wall. I think you told me it made it to his Facebook. So this
Facebook.
thing was spread multiple times by Snoop. A
Yes,
native
sir.
post on his Instagram story, Facebook.
Yes, sir.
You and I joked because we have this history with Snoop. We've worked with him in a business capacity,
Right.
you know, an administrative capacity, operations capacity.
Right.
To where I think I told you when I saw that Snoop had reposted, I was like, okay, yeah, I assume Betty was able to pull some
Angle.
strings or finesse it.
Yeah.
But no, this was purely organic support, correct?
Purely organic, man. No bots, no boost.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about when you noticed that happened and what you think went down there in terms of Snoop coming to the table and really kind of co-signing that.
Okay, so yeah, man, it was around 13,900 kind of, I noticed. And I get an alert. It says Snoop Dogg following you from your reel. I was like, what? Oh, shit. I said, what? It's Boss Dog. So, you know, I woke up, I said, hey, I think he's going to post this. You know, this is immediately after, you know, I was like, I think he might post it. And she like, oh, really? So, man, about 10, 15 minutes later, boop, 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 all Snoop. I'm like, what the? Snoop remixed her video. So I did not even look at it, bro. I'm like, what the hell did he do? You know, like, you know, did he come up with his face and kind of say something about it? Like, what did he do? And it shows, he put it on Facebook, it shows, so I ain't even look at it, man, for about 10, 15 minutes. And she like, look, you know, look at it, see what it is. I'm like, no, I want to relish in this moment, right? So, you know, I'm just thinking all kind of, man, all he did was put sound on. He said, okay, GhostPopularP, put the strong warm emoji, the fire, the camera. And I'm like, man, he just let that shit rock. And boy, by the time I opened that thing and I looked at the viewership, 125,000 views in probably like 10 minutes. Like 125,000, maybe no more than 15 minutes, bro. That shit had 125,000 views by the time I opened it up and looked at what it was doing.
And as you said, look, and this was something that even I thought. I had assumed that Snoop had given it this initial push. The freestyle was breaking out on its own.
It was already breaking out.
It was already breaking out on its own. Snoop came to it organically, as you said.
Right.
But that brings, as we know, like so much more attention.
Right.
And so much more scrutiny.
Yes, sir.
And a whole bunch of new commentators.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to that when it suddenly opened up in a completely different way? You're seeing the influx of comments and everything else.
Yeah.
How did you respond to that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
What's not to love, man? It's like, you know, a lot of times we talk and no press is bad press, right? Well, no comment is a bad comment.
Right.
Because when you study analytics, man, you know, if those who don't know, maybe you know, you have 3 seconds on Instagram. They have a metric where they judge or they look at the engagement after 3 seconds. And it says around, are you at 60%? You're at 70%. You might be at 80% past the 3 second mark. So that means that a lot of audience or people that have these devices are just aimlessly scrolling, right? Aimlessly scrolling until something captures their attention. Well, in 3 seconds, I must have hooked their ass. You know what I mean? And it could be visually, it could be, you know, audio. I'm rare, not regular. I just came right in, right? You know, and I didn't even know what I was doing, but then when I look back at the analytics in retrospect and I say, whoa, damn, yeah, that after that 3 second mark, you know, it got them. And that's kind of what I know. And if you're commenting and you're trolling or whether you like it, you love it, you have a comedic aspect about it, I don't care. It increases my engagement, which increases the analytics, right? And then at the end of the day, bro, we talking about Snoop Dogg posting my shit 4 times. So if you're like a SoundCloud rapper and you say, oh, no, that's not it. I mean, let's balance the perspective real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're talking about a worldwide legend who has probably been wealthy for as long or longer than you've been alive, right?
Right.
And been an influence and a cultural icon and a legacy artist for longer than these people that are commenting. So who the fuck I'm gonna listen to?
That part.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a damn what you talking about. I got stamped by somebody who's a fucking legend. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, no disrespect to any SoundCloud rappers or nothing like that. That was just like a, you know.
But I've noticed that, like, you be having fun with it, though.
I do.
You do be having fun with it.
I do, man.
Before we take, that kind of turn, I see you giving as good as you get.
Hey.
You respond to the funny comments.
yeah,
You and I
yeah.
have joked around.
Yeah,
There's
yes,
been
sir.
there's been some that we've had laughs with, and the internet's always going to get them off, and we know that.
listen.
And you're going to get yours off too.
Yeah. The internet is undefeated, man.
Oh man, the internet is undefeated, dude. But circling back a little bit again, because I know you have put these videos out. What do you think it was about Rare Not Regular as a term, as a concept? Because like you said, you come in immediately with that. That's how you stamp that track.
Yeah.
What is it about that you think people responded to?
I think, man, I looked at the age demo too, right? It's 25 to 34 who's tapping in at 50%. So I think Rare Not Regular, non-conformity for this repetitious thing that is happening in music, almost microwave, right? So we're getting back to kind of the essence. I see something happening within the culture anyway, as far as lyricism. When I look at the West Coast artists, you got somebody like Chef Boy who's popping with his song. You know what I'm saying? I'm sliding down Rosecrans. You can hear every word, right? We're talking about a rhyme scheme, cadences, and I see a lot of that coming up because that age group is thirsting for something else, right? And that is some of the cultural influencers that are actually looking for groundbreaking lyricism. It's getting back to the essence, man. And I think Rare Not Regular, I came in and said penmanship, paragraph, predator, you know what I'm saying? These P words, this alliteration, things that I know how to kind of do technically with the rhyme schemes that also have a beat by itself without the beat. The beat was simple, right? Nothing but like 4 tracks, maybe 5 tracks in total. But the technique on the rhyme scheme, I saw in a comment where it says, man, that's a crazy pocket to float in. So I'm seeing that some of these people are actually getting it, man, from not just a technical perspective, but a lyrical arsenal perspective. Like they're listening sonically to the lyrics, like whether they know it or not. I'm hitting you with a cadence that is kind of undeniable.
Yeah, and that comment reminded me to kind of broach that subject, which is, of course, you produce the majority of your own music as well,
right,
exactly. and that track included.
Exactly.
And to bounce off that comment you made about how this producer recognized how you were flowing on that rhyme scheme, I said to you before, it reminded me of one of the greatest examples of that was I think when M&J did Renegade, and a lot of people said M had the inside track because he produced that track. You know what I mean? He knew how to approach it a different way. So you brought that energy, man, and I think it's apparent in that immediately. You talk about the 3 seconds rule. You come in the gate, just busted so hard.
Right.
And that was, I think it's all kind of created this alchemy of the breakout of that particular video. Speaking of Rare Not Regular, now that you have this kind of response to it, I understand that, you got to do the track.
Yeah.
You got to do the track.
Indeed. It's necessary.
Yeah.
Now, people, they commented, hey, question mark, link, Apple Music, what's up? So they're waiting for it. And like to kind of double back and piggyback on, you kind of asked a important question, like, what do I think, is the effect, right? The immediate effect, right? Man, we all are staring at these devices, attempting to compete for eyeballs, right? I locked in. If you watch it, I'm rare. Bam, by the time the snare hit, I'm in I black out. This is what MCs call a blackout moment. And I'm staring directly at the camera. I ain't even think I blinked, right? Because I was in it. The snare was hitting my, and then you can hear me, you can see me moving. So even if it was on mute, people were probably like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, who is this guy? I'm twitching, I'm angling, I'm looking at the camera a certain type of way, but now they just not understanding I'm in the fucking zone.
I'm glad you clarified that because I think that I told you I felt that energy was so essential to what that video did and how it broke out. And I know how you are when you're in that zone.
Right.
But again, that was so I saw all the comparisons. I'm sure you did too, from oh, this sounds crazy with Q-Tip or
Yeah,
LL or
yeah.
the Nicki Minaj thing that we laughed about.
Nico Minaj.
Nico Minaj, my bad. Nicholas Minaj. Nicholas
Nicholas
Minaj,
Minaj,
bro.
what?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
just,
That's
they
crazy.
said you found the bag of 80s cocaine in there
Hey,
in a
man.
couple of comments.
Come on
But
now.
you said that's the energy,
Hey,
you
man,
know?
listen, I love it.
And speaking of energy, man, like you've been, as I told you before this, you've really been keeping it going since then. You've been continuing to film these new videos.
Yes,
You've
sir.
been out pushing,
Yes, sir.
in the studio,
Yes,
in the
sir.
streets. As I saw you at Dodger Stadium. Come on, bro.
Right.
Talk about maximizing off this moment. You know what I mean? And taking it further.
Right. So, I mean, in any event, right? I mean, we learned on the business aspect, right? Administratively, you have to learn or seize the opportunity, in turning a moment into a movement. Which rare not regular now is you brand that. You embody that. This is what I do just on a normal. Like this is my life on paper with a little emotion. People might think it's not a game, no gimmicks, but rare not regular authentically is who I am. So, and authentically, I think that everybody is a rare, not regular person, right? You have the ability to possess that, walk with that purpose, walk with that aura. And so, yeah, we're just gonna take this moment and turn it into a movement. The best way I can, the best way we know how. You know what I'm saying? That's how you capitalize.
100%, man.
Right.
Man, doubling back to all the comparisons, and also the penmanship component, which I know, again, like you be really pushing your pen. And I saw the internet kind of make a million comparisons.
Yeah.
But who would Ghost compare himself, or not even compare himself to? Who is Ghost most influenced by? Whether it's contemporary, current, whether it's, the Hall of Fame. Who informs your work? Who informs how you approach the track?
Man, it's a glossary full of artists. Snoop, Nas, Jay, Biggie, Royce the 5'9". You know what I'm saying?
There
I
we
got
go.
it's Crooked Eye.
Come on, bro.
It's so many different people, man. OGC, Boot Camp Clicks, The Rain Wonder, Helter Skelter. I got it's so much Corrupt. I just pull from so many different people as far as influences as it relates to sonic rap, because I studied. You know what I'm saying? This is a craft. And I mastered my craft and put my 10,000 hours in just on that note. And like somebody like Nas, man, kind of like saved my life because, such a heavy influence. My pops was so far ahead of me. He's 46 years older than me, God rest his soul. He influenced me on a wisdom aspect. Nas kind of influenced me on like a big brother aspect. Like, damn, I looked at this dude and you rhyme like that, you look like this. And then Snoop been a part of my household since I can forever remember, right? So it was almost like when I started working for this cat, I already knew him, like through the music, right? But you just get a personal aspect of it. Biggie, storytelling, you know what I'm saying? Jay-Z, swag, charisma, the confidence of him. I don't know, man. It's like, I ain't never seen nobody have that. Nip is one of the most influential people I think in my life, because I actually seen this dude come from the same concrete slabs in the streets that I'm from, right? You got west of the 110, Arlington, Normandy, things of that nature. That's they section, right? Of course, Crenshaw. You got east of the 110, Broadway, Main, San Pedro, Wall Street, McKinley, Avalon, Central, east of the 110. Nipsey transcends all of that. It don't matter what section it is. It don't matter what block. It don't matter what gang. He infiltrated all of that. And it was on a business aspect, an intelligent aspect, well-spoken, well-read, and the motherfucker can just flat out rap, bro. And he looked good. He made it look good. You know what I'm saying? So, man, it's like kindred spirit looking at him. And shout out to my boy Black Sam, man. They keeping it going. The marathon continue on that note. So Nipsey, I got so many people I'm influenced. I'm influenced by Black Sam. What the fuck he doing? He don't even rap. But I'm influenced by him. I take bits and pieces of influential people. And like, I heard Nip say, shit, I'ma steal the fucking game from you. All I gotta do is watch an interview. I ain't gotta see you do a car. I'ma steal it. You know what I mean? If I study, I'ma steal it.
Man, the stuff you said about Nip was so crazy there, because just the way you were breaking down those streets and
Yeah.
stuff, it kind of told me, which I think you and I have talked about in the
Yeah.
past, about how like music and respect can transcend any line. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
And I remember we were working with YG at the time. I wasn't at the shoot, but I remember seeing the footage afterwards when Nipsey was filming the I'm a Thug video with YG. I think you
Yeah.
and I talked about this.
Yeah.
And Nip was in the treetops. You know what I mean? And the significance of Nipsey being where he's from,
Right.
being in the treetops, which those, the members of that community were bringing attention to. You know what I mean? Like, this is how much we fuck with Nip, you
Right,
know?
right.
And I remember Snoop talking about that at Nip's funeral, about how he told Nip he was a peace advocate based off of that,
Right,
you know,
right.
and that is so crazy because he was making records with YG and he was transcending these lines. That's just crazy and a testament to his legacy.
Right.
You mentioned so many great names there. It's so funny. Another name I'm glad you mentioned, Crook.
Yeah.
One of my favorite rappers.
Right.
I just think Crook is so incredible with
Right.
his precision and penmanship.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think some of what you've been doing recently, I was going to tell you this separately in conversation, it reminds me of Crook's energy, and it reminds me of what Crook was doing when he was on the Hip Hop Weekly
Yeah.
marathon,
Right,
that endeavor, where
right.
he was dropping something new every single week. I mean, like, that's the kind of productivity I'm seeing from yourself right now,
Amen.
you know?
Hey, man. Kind of getting locked in. Just getting locked in, man. I got a lot more to come. You know what I mean? And Conan, these is freestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got songs, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And it's being a sponge, being able to cultivate every aspect of my experience with this music. When I wasn't writing or in a creative aspect, I was in a business aspect, in the equation of business. So I always stayed around music. But I wasn't in the equation of business. I'm doing it on the live engineering aspect. Shout out to my boy P3 who got me into that, just kind of brushed me into the fire. But then 12 years later, technically, sonically, I understand a 5-piece band, 3-piece band. I understand like a crash cymbal, like, I understand it in a different format, which cultivates and helps me create in a different aspect. So I can get cinematic on your ass with some rhythm, you know what I'm saying? Or I can just be simple and make the beat sound better when I hop on it, based on studying people like Crooked, based on studying people like Snoop, Nas, and things of that nature. I listen all the way down to inflection points, bro. Like, okay, how the technique when they breathe in between this snare. And so sometimes what you're seeing is a multi-syllable rhyme scheme pattern that I'm able to, kind of master, and to get you to even pay attention. Like, sometimes I don't even know what the hell why they paid attention to penmanship, paragraph, pimp, predator. Like, what the what, but I know what I'm doing, and you know what I'm saying. When you have people such as a Joe Budden, Royce the 5'9", a Crooked Eye, motherfuckers know. They got technique. They know, like, you know what I'm saying? They know the rhyme scheme, caliber, the cadence. They know how to get you. That's why they can do this shit a cappella, or they can do it over a beat.
Yeah.
And that's the era I'm from. You think you rap, you say you rap, motherfucker spit something. Don't show me a link. You know what I'm saying?
Prove it.
Prove it. Like right here on the ground, you 10 toes down, spit something right now. That's the era I'm from. You gotta spit right on the spot, bam.
I've seen you bring that energy to a couple of the commentators too. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, now show me your hand. You know what I mean? Put up or shut up. Ghost, you mentioned that, like you said, you've been doing this for 15 years. And, this Snoop thing is a very crazy and current inflection point in what you've been doing. I've seen this become a topic of conversation for some time now, and I think it's kind of had some increased relevancy.
Yeah.
My homie Spitty, who created Off the Porch, just a segment about this.
Yeah.
How do you feel about listeners or the younger generation, whatever you want to attribute to, trying to impose like age barriers in hip hop?
You can't put an age limit on greatness.
Say that again.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be like, if you good, but being great is better than good. And a lot of these cats that's still doing it are better than good. Nas just dropped, right? I mean, how many records he just dropped? Like almost an anthology he gave you. LL Cool J got one of the best albums I done heard, right? It's greatness. Snoop, Is It a Crime right now, right? At my age, doing what I'm doing, you can't put an age limit on greatness, bro. And a lot of these cats still putting belt to ass on this shit.
Man.
You know what I mean? And if you doing a certain type of music and you can't go perform it live, it's gonna die. It's gonna die. Sonically, you can't. If you just rhyming over or rap, I don't know what the fuck some of them they doing. They just you throw on the track. That's fucking karaoke, bro. That's not. That's not.
Man.
That's karaoke, bro. That's really karaoke. If you put on the track and you can't really sing on key or you can't even harmonize on key, but you doing the same type of music, the shit die out, bro. What'll never happen with the word. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God. Like the word was with God. Let there be light. Man, the word is powerful. And when you get the word from some of these people, like these greats, man, that shit, you can't put no age limit on that.
No.
The written word and the word been around since the beginning. If your ass don't know how to spit them words, move the fuck out the way and shut the fuck up. Respectfully.
Man, and it's crazy because I think the Nas example, again, you and I have fan conversations, you know, and I think that when you look at what Nas did with Hit Boy, you know what I mean? And I think, again, we've touched on this, it's like, that wasn't Nas's second wind or third wind. This dude is decades in this, and he's still at the top of his game. And I think what really, you know, look, I don't think you or I look at the committees as the ultimate validation of who's dope.
Right.
But I do think it says something that for those Nas and Hit Boy projects, he received the first Grammy of his entire career. Man. You know what I mean? That's wild to me. That's a testament to a word that I think that we were circling, which is like longevity. Longevity. And so if you can attain longevity, like that's the ultimate goal, or it should be. And I think you just spoke to that. And it takes time to become that well-rounded.
Right.
You know, like you said, when you talk about the performances of certain artists now, no disrespect to anybody, as you said, but it takes time to hone your craft and to perfect your craft. And I think a lot of the people that we look up to, they've put in those 10,000 hours and then some.
Yeah, man. It takes patience. It takes understanding, man. That, you know, I've been at this for a long time, and I remember Nip saying I felt every emotion. So have I, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And I think some of my peers, like, how the fuck you still that charismatic about this shit? You know what I mean? Because I love it.
Yeah.
I love music, bro. Like, period. Big time. I will never stop messing with music. I will never not have a studio in my home where I can just get up and create, because I have to be creatively constipated, and you ain't took no shit. You ain't shitted on these brothers. Like, man, listen.
Yeah, can't live that way.
I can't do that.
Can't walk around that way.
Right, and so it's just for the moment that happened with Snoop and myself, where he posted it, man, it just like, it brought it full circle, man. And it was like, yeah, you ain't too old to do this shit. You know what I mean? You right on time.
Right.
If you still got it, do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what? What we talking about? They don't do that in no other genre.
Nope.
Practice that ageism type thing. You know what I mean? What we talking about, man?
On a more optimistic note that we talked about of the moment, is this concept that's also been touted a lot recently, which is like this West Coast Renaissance. And I think you said it to me that even, you know, what happened with yourself feels like a byproduct of that same energy that's in the air, that's in the city, that's in the music in the city. Yeah, man. Because I've said to you, like, obviously, you're so authentically from the soil. You know what I mean? And it's there in your music. It's there in your cadence and your flow. I don't think anybody watched that and wonder where you were from. I'm sure they know that this is the West Coast. Right. This is the city. Talk about that, man. Talk about this moment that's happening, how you kind of feel like, you know, it maybe benefited yourself and just in general, the temperature for the music and being a part of that.
Yeah, man. Energy, man. It's energy, man. Snoop has it. It's a crime out right now. K-Dot, of course, doing what he doing, right? You got Chef Boy. Even, I think his name is another cat from Compton. He got a record. I just heard it today. I'm like, damn, that shit is hard. you know, it's just so much going on with the West Coast. Obviously, R.I.P. Nip. You got YG still doing its thing. He got a banger I just heard. You know what I mean? So, and that's just them. Like you got K-Line for real. You know what I mean? Who's really doing his thing. It's a young cat. You know what I mean? It's another cat for I don't remember his name, but damn, he nice with it. It's so many. We'd have to come back to another segment on
We could
how
do
many.
we
like,
could just keep naming everybody,
it's
bro.
so many nice dudes
It's
out
crazy
here
out here right now.
that's really putting in, and they got a whole Rimble.
I gotta peep him.
Rimble, bro, that's one of my favorite. Rimble, his name is Rimble, dog. He dope as fuck to me. Like
You
know
put
what
me
I'm saying?
on. I gotta go check him
go
out.
check that boy out, man. You got you, and even from the another perspective, an R&B perspective. I like Trey 2-3 right now. Trey 2-3, dope as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So man, we in the game, man. The West is we Westing right now, baby.
Did you see all those different lists, Complex and the games breaking down
Like
all the
100,
different?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, shout it
Like,
out. And go check that list out, and then pick some of them names. Say, hey, you know what? Boom. You know what I mean? Because next year I'm gonna be on that motherfucker.
there you go.
You know what I'm saying? The next 6 months I'm gonna be on that motherfucker.
shit.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, bro.
check that list out.
Yeah, and like you said, don't get it twisted. There's a lot of names that ain't on that list yet, but they will be.
They will be, buddy.
Yeah.
You better believe it. Shit.
Now, man. So yeah, look, you're obviously continuing to feed the algorithm
Yes,
as we
sir.
talked about, and you're outside. Like I
Yes,
said, they're
sir.
gonna watch these videos and see that you're
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
We talked about you're gonna record Rare Not Regular.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming that's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
What else are you excited to kind of get into moving forward?
Oh man, just any vertical, man.
Yeah.
You know how we do, man. Just any vertical that's gonna present me to be creatively take a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for
Yeah.
real, you know what I'm saying? Really to get out there and be creative. I still do music. I got a song coming. I got quite a few things that, you know, are up my sleeve that I think people are gonna be like, damn, for real? This guy did this same dude, you know. Yeah, you can't just put me in no box. And that's kind of rare, not regular in itself. You know what I mean? It's not this repetition or this formula that, you know, that you want to conform to sonically or just based on this is not a persona, this is authentically me. You know, you can't put me in no box. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of the internet. We watch each other more than we watch television. And I know that. And so, yeah, man, they paying attention. And so why not feed them? You know what I mean? Ain't nobody, like I said, the age group that's the top analytical demographic for my analytics is 25 to 34, bro.
Damn, yeah.
They tapped in. And then below that, at I think 18 to 26 is at 20%. The other, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, you know what I mean? Shit.
Now watch this.
Now watch this, huh?
Yeah,
We're gonna keep
yeah.
it pushing, gonna keep it moving.
One more thing, you know, and it kind of ties into a lot of what we've been talking about, how you are in terms of being rounded and multifaceted in this. You've also got your own operations, individual collective, ENT.
Yeah, Ice Lifestyle, baby.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about Ice Lifestyle?
Hey, listen, man, Individual Collective Entertainment is basically, as an individual, I believe we come together collectively, we can execute any idea. Period. That is the foundation. That's the blueprint. And like, what we doing now? I'm an individual. We collectively come together. We execute these ideas, right? And we just keep doing that, pushing that forward with whatever somebody wants to do. And we be each other's crutches, right? I got a lot of people that I network and resource with. And even if they don't know, they are part of the Individual Collective. Because I'm going to collectively gather all of these sharp knives in the fucking drawer. And
Put together a cabinet.
And we gon', you know what I'm saying? We gonna make it do what it do.
Yeah.
Because if you can see it, and all I have to do, really, all I'm doing, Conan, is exercising or executing the preview of what God put in my head already. You know what I'm saying? It's already in my fucking head. I'm just doing what I see in my head. I'm chasing my potential self, which is greatness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man. And on that note, Rare Not Regular, man, I want to thank my guy GhostPopularP for pulling up.
Come on, Conan. Thank you, brother.
Of course,
You know what I'm
bro.
saying?
Man, tell them where you can check you out, bro. Let them know where to find you. Let them know what's coming, all that good stuff.
Hey, man, at GhostPopularP, baby. You know what I'm saying? The IG, GhostPopularP. The TikTok, GhostPopularP. The YouTube about to get cracking, GhostPopularP. It's a rare, not regular thing, man. And y'all are rare, not regular. Don't you forget that. Handle y'all candle and keep that shit lit. You understand?
GhostPopularP, all handles, man. And look out for the song. It's coming. He's going to be dropping that real soon.
Yes, sir.
Until next time. Peace.